What's up, Tim Sykes, Millionaire Mentor and Trader here, talking about AI. This is the hottest sector lately. It's also the most frustrating. And I want to make this video just so that you understand that it's okay to be frustrated. It's very confusing. Today, we're filming this as Nvidia, ticker symbol NVDA, was up nearly 30%. This is one of the biggest companies in the world, having one of the biggest moves ever after they guided up their revenues like nearly 50%. I mean, this was a huge earnings win last night. The stock was rewarded today. They basically said AI, the business is booming and it's much more profitable and it's growing much faster than anyone realized. Everyone was shocked at how big of a beat Nvidia had. Everyone was all excited about AI stocks. Ticker symbol AI was up like $3 a share last night. There's BBAI, MRAI, IDAI, GFAI, CXAI, AIAD, AITX. There's all these little tickers with AI in them. SOUN, APLD, these are like wannabe. GSIT, these are wannabe AI plays that have been spiking up just because like they're in the same vicinity. All of these stocks were spiking huge last night when Nvidia was spiking huge. Today, when the market opened, Nvidia spiked even more. It spiked an extra $10, $20 a share. All the other plays were actually down. This is what's so frustrating with AI, because if you've been trading AI or if you've been following these AI stocks, they have been some of the biggest winners. They can spike huge in like a few hours or a few days. I think it was GFAI. I was buying the first green day around like 6, and I was selling it like after hours in the high 6s and the 7s. Like 2 days later, it had like tripled. And I made like $1 a share. Whoops, underestimated that. Same thing with CXAI, underestimated that. BBAI, MRAI, I underestimated all of them. And then they all spiked a lot, AI in particular, the ticker symbol AI. And then some short sellers came out, said AI actually, like their business is crap. And AI dropped 50% and all the other AI stocks dropped 50% a few weeks ago too, with no bounces. So this is why I wanted to make this video. Today, very surprising that Nvidia kept spiking, all the sympathy plays failed. Last time AI was the sector leader, the ticker symbol AI. Don't be confused with the whole name. They want to confuse you. That's why they chose that ticker. Last time AI was the sector leader, and when it crashed, everything else crashed. So what can you take away from this? You have to realize sometimes sector plays just suck. That's the reality. AI sucks. It might be the future. We might all be controlled by AI robots in the future. Maybe we're going to use AI to get more productive and, like fire half of the employees where AI can do their job better, but then it creates new jobs with new technologies. I don't know the future reality of how AI plays a role in our world. From a stock trading perspective, the sector sucks. Very, very choppy, doesn't bounce properly. The sympathy plays don't like work well together. This violates almost all my hot sector lessons. And I just want to make a video saying like, that's okay. Marijuana stocks a few years back actually did the same thing. They went supernova for a few days. Crazy, huge spikes. I underestimated all of them. Then when they came down crashing pretty hard, all in a day or two, 0 bounces. 0. 2 of my top millionaire students, Jack Kellogg and Kyle Williams. I remember they were dip buying MMNFF. This was one of the biggest supernovas from marijuana stocks. They were dip buying, adding as it panicked. It didn't bounce. Both of them, I think, had their biggest losses. I want to say they lost like, $200,000-$300,000 each on that. At the time, that was their biggest loss. HKD later was their biggest loss, shorting. But it's very strange where MMNFF did not bounce. They both finished up that week, by the way. This is what's so funny. They had their biggest losses. Dip buying this play that didn't bounce, they eventually cut losses. But because all these other stocks were moving back in 2020 and 2021 when this was happening, they were still finished up green on the week. So don't cry for them. Jack is now over 12 million. Kyle's over $4 million. Props to them. Fantastic. But the reason why I bring this up is sometimes sector stocks suck. Leave that comment below if you understand it, if you've experienced it. Usually sector plays move together. Usually, like if one leader stock is spiking big, all the other sympathy plays spike big too. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. With AI, in this case, in Nvidia and AI, the ticker before it a few weeks ago, when that was crashing, they don't work. It's very strange. And it's just something that you should bring up. And I hope that they don't go the way of marijuana stocks, because when the marijuana stocks crashed and there were no bounces and it was very surprising, marijuana stocks have never recovered. They were one of the hottest sectors and then like it dried up completely. AI, I don't think that it's necessarily going to be condemned to the same fate, because AI is actually like a very fast developing technology. You're going to see more and more applications come out. I think when more and more applications come out, and like Nvidia spiking, it's not just spiking on hype, like their business is booming. So theoretically, the smaller AI plays, their business should be growing, if not booming too. So I don't necessarily think that AI is dead like marijuana stocks are. Marijuana stocks, understand, we're running just on like excitement over like new legislation where marijuana was going to be, you know, legal in more states and more countries, which did happen. This is the thing. You can't get confused between business reality and stock trading. And it's very easy to get confused. A lot of people, like when I was calling out the Wolf of Weed Street, will post an article, made enemies with a lot of like weed investors because they're all pro weed. They're like smoking every day. They're like, yeah, man, this is the future. The stocks are going to soar. We're going to get high. And I was like, this is a pump and dump pattern. Like, this doesn't end well. And I made enemies with the whole Wolf of Weed Street. He was like trending #1 at the time. And I was like, you idiots, like history repeats. I didn't know that I was going to be so right that the plays would never come back. But to be fair, weed businesses did boom. They were right about, you know, these companies getting legalized in more states and more countries and business booming. But the stocks never recovered. And I don't know if that's going to be the case with AI, right? Like, just given how AI stocks are trading right now, it doesn't look like their stocks are going to keep going up as much as people think. It's not just marijuana and AI are the two hot sectors. Like a few years ago, there was nanotech, biotech had their run-ups, shipping companies had their run-ups, gold companies had their run-ups, crypto companies had their run-ups. ChatGPT, any company that integrated with ChatGPT, they had their run-ups. Most of these hot sector plays, they all crashed and burned. They're hot for a little bit. I'm still watching AI because, again, the technology is evolving. Business, I think, is booming. Like marijuana stocks, you might have gotten legalized, but it wasn't like new strains of marijuana are being created. Like, okay, maybe if you want to get technical, there are new strains, but like there wasn't like revolutionary. It wasn't like, oh my God, this new weed gets you like 5 times as high with like 0 repercussions. There wasn't any like advancement in the products themselves. AI, every single day it's getting better. There's new applications, there's new companies. And there seems to be more real world applications. And it seems to be hurting old world companies. Like Chegg just announced that they're like private mentoring and tutoring, you know, their business is crap. Chegg, the stock dropped like 50%, warning how like AI is taking over because now AI can do all the mentoring that people need for exact subjects. I'm fortunate that stock trading is very inexact. And I think that experience helps. Like you can try to, you know, learn from AI and you can try to build your own algorithms. But I mean, even my top student, Tim Grattani, like he just recently lost like $1 million with his algorithm that he's been working on nonstop, right? Like I wish that he just focused on manual trading, but he's got 2 kids. I understand that. And robots and machines can make life better theoretically, but I think we're also still at such an early stage. The stocks might have gotten ahead of themselves. Like the short sellers who came out against ticker symbol AI, they're probably not wrong that the company is crap. But as I've also learned, why I don't short sell anymore is like, even if a company is crap, even if a sector isn't like as hot as people think, the stocks keep going. The short squeezes have gotten crazy lately. And I think this influences hot sectors, because when it was like the Wolf of Weed Street, when it was marijuana stocks, when it was nanotech, biotech, China stocks, shipping stocks, there weren't as many short sellers as there are these days. And this is a big part my fault, because a lot of my top students have made millions shorting. I've made millions shorting. People didn't realize that you could even short sell penny stocks. It makes sense. Wait a minute, most penny stocks fail. Most penny stocks are scams. We can short sell them. Oh my God, that's an amazing strategy. Yeah, welcome to my last 20 plus years on planet Earth. So there's more short sellers who are realizing that you can short sell these crappy companies. At the same time, because there's so many short sellers, the squeezes have gotten crazy. There's many more brokers, a lot of shady brokers that are now offering locates on these companies. So the dynamics of the industry have changed. I'm scared to short right now because the squeezes can get out of control. As anybody who's tried to short like AI stocks, I saw a few people ripping on Nvidia because it was so highly valued heading into earnings. I saw a few very smart, very well-connected, very experienced traders saying Nvidia is going to crash on earnings. And then it spikes up 30%, and that could have been the worst call I've ever seen. Don't try to guess earnings. First of all, is a good lesson that I've learned over the years. Second of all, realize that there are so many short squeezes these days. So it's very difficult to understand, does AI have as bright of a future as many people believe? Or is it just a lot of short sellers getting squeezed? I don't know. Judging from the reaction today of all the AI stocks not following in Nvidia's footsteps, that leads me to believe that they're all up due to short squeezes. And while Nvidia actually has a booming business, a lot of these wannabes, they don't necessarily have the booming businesses that people think. It's just their stocks are up a lot because they've squeezed so many shorts. That's a very real possibility. And with short squeezes, it's very difficult to understand like how many shorts have been squeezed, how many shorts are still in the plays. I know that there's short interest, but that's a month old. And then in my experience, even month old short selling data is irrelevant, if not erroneous. You know, the best way to judge how many shorts are in a stock, fortunately, short sellers are very lonely, toxic, despicable leper creatures who live in these little Discord chat rooms and in their, mom's basements. And they all congregate together and they have like this groupthink where they all short the same stocks and they're like, this is a scam, we're gonna short it. And most of the time they win because they're right, like they are scams, or these like Chinese pump and dumps, they're being pumped up on like WhatsApp messages and stuff. They're not wrong that they're scams. They're not wrong that these companies suck, but they're wrong in their timing, and they don't understand that when a whole chat room of short sellers shorts one stock and the stock doesn't break, and the Chinese scammers or the promoters are just accumulating shares, and then they send out another WhatsApp message or a text message, and then it creates these massive squeezes, like on ILAG or HKD or TOP. So I know that I'm covering a lot of different topics here. People just want to know, like, come on, Tim, does AI have a future or not? I don't know. I don't try to make generalized business guesses because the odds of being right are just so low. What I do know is that I'm very timid when trading AI stocks because they don't fit the typical patterns, and the patterns that they do fit, that being the atypical hot sector patterns that was like marijuana, it doesn't end well. If they do indeed go the same route as marijuana stocks, barring no technological advances or like more booming revenue press releases, which seems likely, but if they do go the route of marijuana stocks, like they're all going to crash and burn and fade away. I hope that doesn't happen. I like the volatility, even if it is frustrating. So this is me just, telling you the pros and the cons, thinking about the hot sector, thinking about the technology, thinking about the short sellers. This is what I think. You want exact information, you're not going to get it from me on this topic. My exact information is, when there's a pattern that I know and it works over and over and over again. Short squeezes are very inexact. very difficult to try to understand, let alone trade. I'm very scared trading short squeeze stocks. I recognize enough not to short them. At least that saves me from losses, risk, stress. Another thing, that short sellers don't talk about, not only do they hide their biggest losses, they don't talk about their locates. Many of them just only post their biggest wins, but they're also all stressed. If you look at a lot of the top short sellers out there, they look like they're 70, 80, 90 years old. Even if they're in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, they have like gray hair or white hair. They look like Gandalf the Grey, and yet they're like the same age as like Frodo. Like it's crazy to me how bad physically and spiritually short selling is. And trust me, I've made millions of dollars short selling. I know that it works, especially the majority of the time, but I think right now the risk reward is off. Just given the market dynamics, given how many short sellers there are. So if you ask me what I hope for AI stocks, I hope that they keep going. I hope that more short sellers try to short them, try to take the industry down, and the stocks keep going. For me, I just want volatility, but I want predictable volatility. Nvidia didn't give it to me with all the sympathy plays. If I traded Nvidia, that would be fantastic. It's an earnings winner that just basically extended its gains. So bravo. It's been a while since earnings winners, especially big company earnings winners, just keep going. But Nvidia did. But it failed to really spike the sympathy plays. And that's just why I think that a lot of the sympathy plays are just up on short squeezes. So I know this lesson is all over the place, but that's just what I'm thinking. And I wanted to get it out there because I get a lot of questions about AI, and there's no easy way to answer. I'm always considering the technology, the charts, the price action, the short sellers, the sector leaders, the sympathy plays. This is how I think. This is why I'm successful. Many of you just think like cavemen, like, oh, buy AI, hot. Oh, short AI, scam. It's not that simple. It's not that black or white. There's many different shades of gray in between. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think about AI stocks. How have you done trading them? I think if you looked at like my trades on AI, I think I might be slightly up on all of them. But it's funny to me how early on I was, especially on like plays like GFAI, CXAI, BBAI, and I underestimated them all dramatically. But at least I'm not shorting and getting wrecked. So I have that going for me. How are you doing on AI? How are you doing in 2023? Leave some comments below. Entertain me. Try to be transparent. Don't be an evil short seller. They suck.